Well, you know, we couldn't miss this week. It's been 2 weeks off. Jez has been incredibly busy the last couple weeks, but we are live now with the Xbox 2 episode, I think 22 or 21. I'm not even really sure. It's been so long. What is going on, guys? I am Rand L. Thor, 19, the man with the million, one of your co-hosts for the Xbox 2. And as always, with me, my right-hand man, my intrepid sidekick. You still have to look up that definition, by the way. The one and only Jez Corden from Windows Central. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Cortana. What does intrepid mean?
Uh-oh.
Ah, I'm fearless and adventurous. Right, that's what that means.
Yes.
Well, yes, I am fearless and adventurous, and I'm back. Sorry, I've been away. I've been so busy. It's been awful. But the fun continues next week because I'm flying again on Friday to the UK. Ugh. I need a genuine break. I need to stop.
Where are you going?
Podcasting.
I mean, what are you doing in the UK this time?
Well, there's a smaller game show in the UK called EGX, which I do every year. I've done it for 6 years now. It's a small sort of, I don't know. It's very indie focused, but sometimes there is some big games there. Like EA is going to be there, Xbox One X is going to be there, playable, which is going to be fun. So I'm going to head out there and check out the Xbox One X and visit my family and still that sort of stuff, man. You know, I haven't been back to the UK since February.
It feels like we haven't done a podcast in like a month, though. You know?
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Well, to me, it feels like 5 minutes because I haven't even had a chance to have a breather yet. So it just goes from one thing to the next. It's crazy, man. But I'm here. I'm here, pals, and I'm gonna give away some Xbox games in the chat for everyone who's nice and
Jez has
lovely,
a bunch of games to give away. And, you know, before we get into it, I'll just go over some of the topics we'll be talking about. We're going to be talking about Michael Pachter versus Jez Corden and the Xbox One X, which is going to be an interesting thing to talk about. We're going to be talking about PUBG, how it's taken over the gaming world, and how Microsoft is helping the game reach, you know, a bigger audience and things like that. We're going to talk about the fallout from Gamescom because me and Jez haven't really talked about it together. We're going to touch on game gifting. We're going to talk about Destiny 2. We're going to talk about keyboard and mouse because I have some stuff to say about keyboard and a mouse. I'm not the biggest advocate for that stuff. And who else knows some of the things, you know, that we will get into. But first, before we get into all the juicy topics, I just want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. I see a lot of people in chat. Maddie Beast, J-Dub, Cypherman, Chris Koba, Protus. Thank you guys so much for rocking out with us today. You know, if you guys haven't already, hit that like button, share this out on Twitter so we can get more people in here so they can discover the awesomeness of Rand and Jez. So Jez, what have you been playing besides all the cool stuff at Gamescom, which we'll talk about because we're going to get into your adventure in Germany. What have you been up to? What have you been playing?
So much stuff. But lately, I was playing Destiny 3 this morning. Destiny 3? Not
already?
No,
what is this? 2020?
No, yeah, Destiny 2. I've been playing that this morning. Played that briefly this morning. I've been playing the XCOM 2 expansion, War of the Chosen, on PC. I've been playing the new Battlefield 1 DLC, War of the Star, I think it's called. It's basically a bunch of Russia maps, snowy, cold, and perfect timing because the weather seems to be turning a bit dicey in Germany now. And what else have I been playing? And that's about it. You know, my backlog is getting ridiculous now. I really want to play Observer. I really want to get back into the Long Dark because I haven't finished the story mode yet. Need to finish Sonic Mania. Dude, there's just too many games and my backlog is ridiculous. I can't deal with all these games. And it's only going to get worse in the next couple of months. It's just going to get really bad. What have you been playing?
I mean, that is... I've been playing Destiny 2. I started it last night. I kind of just wanted to get through the tutorial mission, just to get ready to co-op play. And I find myself enjoying it, honestly. Hey, Fresh Bake wants to know if me and you have ever met in real life.
No, yeah, man. We were going to meet at E3.
What are you talking about? We met last 2 years ago at E3.
Did we?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It's because you were drunk most of the time, remember? Every single time we show, yeah, you were always at the front of the lines for the press conference and like all that stuff. You were always there, dude. You forgot? You don't even remember our meeting? Oh.
I didn't know you that well back then, and like you say, I was, because the minibar like had loads of miniatures. So I just used to take every morning. I took all the miniatures out the minibar and put them in the lining of my coat, and then just every time no one was looking, I just down one of them. So I was pretty much drunk the whole time. But yeah, I didn't know you that well back then. I think
this is true. This is very true. But yeah, Destiny 2, man. Like
we need to hang out next year's E3.
Yes. I'm enjoying what I played of Destiny 2. Obviously, I'm not very far in the game. I think I'm an hour maybe into it. So I can't really recommend the game because I haven't finished it. But I will say the game seems much more polished and more of an actual game than the first one. At least those are my kind of initial impressions. I also started up Uncharted 4 again because I need to finish it like I said I would, because I've been incredibly busy with school and work and doing reviews for some of these games I get review codes for. So calm down, PlayStation fans. I hear you, because Jez, when I post a video, somebody on Twitter or somebody in the comments will be like, "Where's my PlayStation reviews, Rand? Where's my Uncharted 4 review? And where's my, Horizon Zero Dawn review?" And I always say, they'll come. Don't worry. Like, I'm going to play the games. I'm just...
Dude, someone gave you a PlayStation specifically so you'd review that. And what are you doing?
I did review the PlayStation. I've played like 7 games on PlayStation 4.
You could never be a pro journalist, man, because you have no concept of deadlines.
Well, I mean, if a pro journalist plays like Cuphead, then I don't want to be a pro journalist.
Oh, dear.
So, you're going to get your Uncharted 4 review. You're going to get an Until Dawn review. You're going to get a Horizon review. I'm going to play all those games. Jeez. I mean, some people just...
a rapper review.
They got to have patience. People just got to have patience. Anyways, other than that, I did some indie reviews. Redout, which is kind of like Wipeout or F-Zero. Interesting game, but way too expensive for $40. I played Life is Strange, the new one, Before the Storm.
Game I need to play. I'm going to buy that right now, I think.
It's good. Once you get past the initial kind of first half of the game, which I found kind of repetitive and a little bit boring, I thought when you meet up...
How dare you?
I love Life is Strange.
Tale of Life is Strange. So this is why I couldn't review it, because I'd just be like, yeah, 10 out of 10. I'd play it for 5 minutes and just give it 10 out of 10.
I love Life is Strange, but I did find the beginning to be a little bit slow and a little bit boring. It wasn't until you met up with Rachel and went on your adventure with her that I found it to be a lot better. And it does...
Chloe.
I don't know. I don't hate Chloe. The new voice actress is kind of like, I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, okay. I mean, as I haven't been playing much, but that's gonna change. We're gonna be getting through all these games. But games on PlayStation, games on Xbox, no games on Nintendo because I don't have a Switch and I have no plans on getting a Switch. But
you'll get a Switch,
Jez. Let's talk about Gamescom because you were there. You covered it. Before we get into Microsoft's live stream, I just want to get what it was like for you to be there. Like, what did you do? What are some interesting things you heard and some cool stuff you got to play?
Oh man, I was so busy this year, and I really regret not staying for the whole. I only stayed for 3 days instead of the 4. I really wish I did stay for the 4 days because there was so much this year. This is the first year that I actually managed to get invites from Bethesda, so shout out to Bethesda. I got to play Wolfenstein 2, which is incredible. Incredible. Absolutely amazing. I pretty much walked out of that demo and went straight on my phone and pre-ordered the game. It was incredible. And also it was in 4K 60 with HDR, and it really felt like the first game that really showcased what HDR is meant to be for. Because like there's a lot of laser weapons in that game. Because for those who don't know, Wolfenstein 2, obviously it's set in an alternative reality where the Nazis won World War II. And it's set in the 60s, where the 60s-ish, where the technology is advanced more rapidly because Nazi technology and all that stuff, unbridled science without any morality. And there's a lot of laser weapons in the game, man. And the laser weapons in HDR, they go up to 1,000 nits of brightness and they melt your eyes out. And not only do the lasers just look incredible, they melt the terrain and the background and stuff, and just the sparks flying everywhere. Like I remember trying to blast this dude with the laser cannon thing, and this whole metal panel just melted into molten metal, and it was just blazingly bright with HDR, and it was just like, yes, that's what HDR is for. It was absolutely stunning, and the controls were tight, and they did the Metal Gear Solid thing. Like the game starts and you're crippled in bed, and you crawl out of your bed, you climb into a wheelchair, and the first sequence that I played, you're actually gunning down Nazis from your wheelchair, wheeling yourself around, shooting a gun.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, seriously. You start off. I don't know if this was the first level. I think it must have been. But BJ Blazkowicz is like, his whole body's crippled, and he's like, can't move, and and the Nazis come and invade. They're hiding out at sea on this submarine thing, and the Nazis find them. They come and invade, and they're all swarming all over the boat. And BJ pulls himself out of bed, crawls over to a wheelchair, and you're in the wheelchair. You have to like drive the wheelchair around while shooting with the other hand. It's amazing. It's incredible. And there's all these like there's these microwave walls everywhere that have been set up, these traps. And every time a Nazi walks through them, they get melted by like HDR, like flaming body parts flying everywhere, getting vaporized by microwaves. It's just incredible. And like it was the most amazing experience at Gamescom. Wolfenstein 2. I'm so excited for that game.
So is that your most anticipated game for the holiday?
Yeah, I would say so. Wolfenstein 2 is, yeah, it has to be. But the thing is, it was like usually there's something that stands out above everything else, but there was just a lot of good stuff this year. Like, and then Wolfenstein was my favorite game, but I really, really enjoy Battlefront 2 as well, because I went hands-on with that. And I haven't been hyped for Battlefront 2 at all, because I thought it'd be like dumbed down like the original was. Like I thought Battlefront 1, it was designed for younger audiences, because they were like, we want to make a game where, you know, parents and kids can play together and that sort of thing. And the controls were super, super accessible and easy and all that sort of stuff. And but they've really, I think they've really nailed the sequel. Like I played Starfighter Assault Mode, the new flight controls. They feel a lot more solid, a lot more like, less like an arcade game and more like you're actually flying these like huge. It feels heavier, you know what I mean? It's hard to describe and put into words, but it just felt more solid and more better designed. And obviously the flight controls were they were all designed by Criterion, who obviously they work on Need for Speed and other sort of vehicle.
You mean like Burnout Paradise, which they need to go back and do, but they don't for whatever reason?
Well, they don't, because they're working on Battlefront, I guess. But they really nailed it, man. So I was really, really happy with Battlefront 2. And also you got like there's quite a few smaller games that I was excited about, like Surviving Mars. Which is basically City Skylines in space. That was really, really cool, really complicated and in depth, like City Skylines is. So I'm really hyped for that. Well, that's about it for like the things that really stood out to me. Conspicuously, nothing particularly none of the Xbox exclusives I was particularly hugely excited about.
What Xbox exclusives?
Well, I know
Xbox has
Cuphead's
no
gonna...
games. Xbox done.
Yeah, it's there isn't a lot coming out of Xbox that I'm super excited about right now. Like even PUBG, I'm I like it, but I'm not like blown away, face melted by it. I think it's a fun game, but it's not going to be my go-to shooter this year. It's going to be Battlefront 2 probably. That sort of stuff. I don't know, man.
So what did you think? All right, let's get into the Fallout, the live stream that they had, right? Where they announced the pre-orders. Yeah. Okay, first off, I'll ask this. Are you surprised that the Xbox One X Scorpio Edition sold out as fast as it seemed to do?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I didn't really set myself any expectations for it because you don't know how much stock everyone's got, right? But like, I started emailing a chap who works for a major retailer in the UK recently, and he's been giving me information here and there, and he's usually pretty down on Xbox, because as a retail guy, obviously he wants to sell consoles, and if Xbox isn't selling, then he's down on Xbox, and that's just the way it is. And usually he's pretty down on Xbox, but he was saying to me before stuff like, I'm not sure if people are not buying the S because they're waiting for the X, blah, blah, blah. It might just be that Xbox as a platform just isn't attractive anymore. But then like right after the pre-orders went live, he sent me like a really excited email saying stuff like, oh my God, we've already sold through our allocation, like in half an hour. It was supposed to last a week, blah, blah, blah. And then I tweeted that out, that it was supposed to last a week. And then some other outlet picked up on it and stuff like that. And then Microsoft went on and announced that it was the fastest pre-ordered Xbox of all time and stuff like that.
Right.
Which bodes well, right?
Yeah, it does.
It bodes well.
Really quick though, really quick. I have a couple people here in chat, like Fresh Baked and Chris Kober, asking me, they want to know about my name, my Randall Thor 19 gamer tag. So really quickly, I think I've explained this before, but I know not everybody watches all the different videos. When I made this tag, or technically when my brother made this tag on the original Xbox, he asked me what it should be called. And at the time, I was really big into The Wheel of Time, which is a similar fantasy novel series, similar to Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire. And the main character in the series is one of my favorite characters in fantasy literature. His name is Randall Thor. Randall Thor was taken when we tried to use it, so he just threw a 19 at the end. And then eventually, when we switched over to the 360, I took the account over. Randall Thor 19. That's me. I mean, I named it. But that is the story behind it. I'm pretty sure Jez is probably a little bit faster. Like, yeah, well, it's just my name.
Yeah. Well, it's actually not my name. My real name is Jerry.
Jerry.
In my dialect, in my town's accent, names that begin in end in "ery" get shortened to "ez" for some reason. So Terry becomes Tez, and you might have seen like the UK Prime Minister Jeremy. Oh, not well. The UK opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn. He uses the hashtag Jez for PM, stuff like that. So like everyone around my town, like friends and stuff, call me Jez, and pretty much nobody calls me Jerry. So I just use Jez instead.
So sorry for that quick aside. I had some people asking, and now they know Randall Thor is the name of the main character in the Wheel of Time. That was my favorite kind of fantasy series for a long time before Song of Ice and Fire. Well, you might, because I think it's going to be a TV show now. But anyways, back to Gamescom. Since we haven't done a show in 2 weeks, I want to get Jez's thoughts on their presentation. So I'm going to give my thoughts pretty quickly because I did a video about this myself. I thought that everything they presented during that live stream could have just easily been an Xbuyer Wire article. The only reason that live stream existed was to build hype for the pre-orders. Because there wasn't really anything interesting announced. Nobody really cares about Disneyland Adventures or Zoo Tycoon or
Well, I had the BCD for Zoo
Pixar.
Tycoon, and
I know.
I left pretty excited for it. Actually,
I mean, I
said
played all three of those games. Well, I didn't play Disneyland
well,
Adventures, but
of course you played.
Of course, I played them. Zoo Tycoon's not actually a bad game, by the way. But
let me just fill you in about Jerry Torres. First of all, it's Black Country dialect. It's called. Look it up on Wikipedia. But for Zoo Tycoon, they said to me, okay, your next BCD is with Zoo Tycoon, and I rolled my eyes and I was like, oh no, it's going to be a waste of an hour. But they've actually overhauled. They haven't just updated it; they've overhauled it, man. They've removed the build limit, so you can build like infinite buildings now. They've added like tons of new buildings and tons of new like things you have to manage and micromanage, like to keep your zoo healthy and happy. They've added hundreds of new animals. And they were also teasing like DLC for the future, like seasons, like winter and autumn, and also aquatic exhibits and stuff like that.
Aquatic.
Yeah, aquatic.
Yeah. No, I'm not hating on Zoo Tycoon. I played it. It's a fine game. I'm just saying, as a Gamescom announcement where you spend a little bit of time announcing it, nobody really wants to hear about it. It could have just been an X-Buyer. Why? That's my whole point. Most of the stuff they showed there didn't have really a purpose. They all could have just been an article on Xbox Wire. They didn't need to build an hour and a half long show, and I thought it was entirely too long for what was there. They could have gotten everything done what they wanted to in 30 minutes. Now, I haven't heard if you liked it or not, what your thoughts are, so hit me, Jez. What do you think of Microsoft and Xbox's live stream at Gamescom?
I agree. I agree that it was a lot of the stuff that they showed there wasn't particularly interesting. But then again, I think partially it wasn't necessarily for the hardcore audience. They were sort of doing it to give, like, they were painting a picture of what the immediate future looks like for Xbox, for people who maybe aren't necessarily hyper in tune with what's going on like we are. So you can't just assume that every single thing Xbox does is necessarily for the hardcore audience, like the people who are listening to this podcast. Not everything they do is for that audience. So did I enjoy it? No, I thought it was boring as hell. But younger audiences and parents and stuff like that, they're pretty excited about those kiddie games and stuff like that. And I was pretty happy to see more Surviving Mars, and also I can't even really remember it because it wasn't that memorable, So it's if you're on the pulse of Xbox, it wasn't really for the hardcore, I guess. And people are saying that casuals aren't watching Gamescom, but I don't know how true that is. The thing is, this was streamed on YouTube. It was streamed on Mixer and Twitch. It was streamed across their entire user base. So, and their user base is made up by far more than just the hardcore. The hardcore crowd is like a very small slice of who actually plays Xbox. I think, like, because I've got stats on this. I got a load of leaked stats on the type of gamer who plays Xbox, and I think it's something like a sixth they consider to be like hardcore gamers. Something like a sixth, which ain't that much.
Who do they consider a hardcore gamer?
People who play Barbie to get achievements. That's what they.
It always comes back to freaking Barbie. I mean, you tell a guy you played Barbie one time, and it sticks with you forever.
Dude, I'm never gonna let you live that down. But yeah, it's something like a six. I don't quote me on that because I can't remember the chart off by heart. But don't you remember I leaked a load of stats a few months ago? Like the average income of the Xbox owner is like $80,000 or something like that. That's the that's and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'll have to go back and look at those stats. But they have like They have like 6 clearly defined types of gamer that they market towards. And there's like hardcore gamer, they call one an explorer who maybe buys loads of games but maybe only plays them for an hour each. You know, apparently there are people who do that. I think I'm probably one of them nowadays.
That sounds like the downer to me, Jeremy. He like literally plays every game, but he plays literally everything for like 20 minutes.
Bear with me. I'm gonna pull it up, and I'll tell you what the sections were. But while I'm looking for that, do you wanna move on to another?
Yeah. All right. So one of the things that come out of Gamescom was the pre-order stuff: the Scorpio edition, the green lettering on the console, the custom cover, the green lettering on the controller, and it sold out really fast on Amazon. It was basically sold out everywhere. Amazon right away, GameStop that day, Target a little bit later, Walmart a little bit later. Then you couldn't get it anywhere. And I think they did have some restocking with Amazon a couple days later. But eventually, Microsoft came out and they were saying, "Hey, this is the most pre-ordered Xbox ever." But if you look at the all-time or the yearly charts on Amazon, because I did videos about all this stuff, because I find it interesting. For this year on Amazon, it's selling better than the Pro, and I think like the Xbox One X right now is 52 for 2017. But if you look last year, the Pro was like 48, so they seem to be pretty similar. Obviously, there's no numbers to go with any of this stuff, so you kind of got to look at it like, well, yeah, I mean, it's sold better than the Pro, but how well did this Pro do? And like even my own internal math, like I'm looking at Amazon. I'm okay, we know it's doing better than the Pro, but it's like Sony said they're happy with Pro sales, right? They're like, we're happy with it. It's selling better than we thought. And they're like, 1 in 5 PlayStations sold are PS4 Pros, right? So 20%. So it's like, okay. So then I looked, and in North America, because it's hard getting like sales numbers, for each, like they hide the stuff pretty fairly easy, well. So I was looking in North America, because this was just an Amazon US, so you got to just look at America. PlayStation has sold around 2 million, like a little bit more than 2 million PlayStation systems, right? So if you take 20% of that, it's like it's 400,000, right? So they've sold about 400,000 Pros this year in North America, right? But then it's like, okay, well, Amazon doesn't sell 100% of the Pros. I'm not sure what Amazon's, allocation of the gaming market is. I still think GameStop is higher. I think GameStop's probably like what? I would say 35%. I don't even really know. You can't really find this information out. I think Amazon's second. So even if you do like Amazon as 20% of the video game market, you take that 400,000 and 20% of that is basically 80,000. So Amazon's stock of the Scorpio edition might have only been around 80,000, maybe 60,000. And then you look at GameStop, their stock could only been 100,000, 120,000. I don't think, I see people predicting 500,000 for the Scorpio edition. I don't think they had stock for that. I don't think the numbers bear that. Maybe worldwide, maybe like the entirety of the world.
Worldwide.
What?
500,000 worldwide to be the fastest selling Xbox ever.
But the thing is like, that's also, you're only comparing it to 3 other ones, right? And you're only really comparing it to basically 2, because they didn't really have the systems and stuff in place in the original Xbox. The 360, if you recall, when it came out, even though you could pre-order it, that was insanely supply constrained. I think it only sold 400,000 its first month in November. So like they didn't have stock, basically because every time they'd make an Xbox 360, it would come off the assembly line broken and it didn't work. So they didn't have many to sell. So you're really comparing this to the original Xbox One. But like they don't give the time frame. They don't like say this isn't a comparison between the first day to the 5th day or the first day to the 2nd day or whatever. So it's like, while I think it's good, and I think like this shows that there's a lot of interest in the X itself, I'm not ready to say like, well, this just is going to be like, hey, the Xbox One X is going to dominate the fall. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still kind of looking at it and be like, well, the math would tell you, like Pachter said, we'll get into your Pachter thing. his whole thing was that the NES, the NES Mini was like way higher than the Xbox, right? The X. And he thinks it was sold 1 million this year. And since it's so far below, it means that the X hasn't sold 1 million yet. And if that's the case, then it's not going to sell that much. And then you got into it with them because your article basically spawned all this stuff. So you want to talk about your fight with Michael Pachter?
Well, okay. For people who don't know, I had a fight with Michael Pachter, kind of. He does a podcast called The Pachter Factor. It's actually very good. He he goes through lots of stats and it's very informative, especially if you want to learn about how the industry works and that sort of stuff. But during that show, he said, "Don't believe what you've read about the Xbox One X pre-order sales. Don't believe bullshit from Windows Central." And I was like, "Oi, Pachter!" And then I tweeted him. Well, first of all, I was going to tweet, "Fuck you, Michael Pachter," or something like that.
Fuck you, Michael.
Yeah, but I thought, no, come on, let's take the high road. So I said, "Excuse me, Michael Pachter, can you tell me which article is bullshit, please?" Smiley, passive aggressive smiley face. And he realized that none of my articles were bullshit and that he in fact just made a mistake. I guess he's not used to seeing positive Xbox news reported on a major website, but he just apologized. He said Windows Central's reporting wasn't inaccurate, and I'm sorry, which I was happy with. Apparently he doesn't say sorry very often. Someone told me, so fair play to him. However, I think he might have taken exception with my headline because I wrote a headline that said Xbox One X roars past the PS4 Pro on the Amazon bestsellers list for 2017, which is a fact. That is a fact that happened. Okay. And whether or not it's significant or not, I explained in more detail in the article. Without actual numbers, we can't get a proper read on how well the Xbox One X is going to do and how well it is doing. And Microsoft also put out their own press release saying it's the fastest pre-ordered Xbox of all time. But maybe there was only 25 units. If an Xbox One, if your allocation is 25 units, then yeah, it is going to sell it really fast. Obviously, it's not 25 units, but it's just to make the point that without hard figures, those kind of announcements don't really matter that much.
Yeah, and someone just tweeted me like, "What does this really mean, Rand? You don't think it's going to do well?" I think the X is going to do well. I really do.
Yeah, I think
it's just that I'm kind of waiting to see what the numbers are going to be because I don't think they're going to be that much.
Well, the thing is, right? You got your media enthusiasts who purposely haven't got a PS4 Pro because there's no UHD Blu-ray, and media enthusiasts, they're Blu-rays, And to be honest, it's not that easy to get digital 4K content on Xbox right now, or anywhere actually. I think there's you can count the amount of 4K videos on Xbox Video on one hand, or film and TV or whatever it's called now. It's called movies and TV in America, right?
Which thing?
The Microsoft's own media selling platform. I think it's called movies and TV in America. It's called film and TV in the UK because we are classy like that. But so if you're into 4K movies, you're pretty much stuck to UHD Blu-ray right now, and maybe a handful of services that broadcast in 4K. So if you're a media enthusiast, you've already skipped the PS4 Pro, and if you are, the kind of person who's researching 4K and you want to spend a lot of money on a 4K OLED, maybe you are waiting for the X because in your mind, the X on paper is more powerful than the Pro. And it's a mathematical reality. No fanboy bullshit there. It's just a mathematical fact that the X is more powerful than the Pro. And there'll be more games that get the most out of a 4K display than the Pro. So, you have to assume that for certain people, the X is a more attractive proposition and not just the Xbox Xbots, as Pachter said, didn't he? He said something like only Xbots have bought the PS4 Pro, which is bullshit. I think that is total bullshit. That only hardcore Xbox fans has bought the Pro. That only hardcore Xbox fans have bought the X. I think there's a section of the market who just want premium. That's why people buy Surface. Surface isn't the most powerful laptop in the world, and the X isn't as powerful as a PC running the most expensive hardware. But it's a premium device for certain kinds of people who want a premium experience without all the bullshit that comes with PC gaming, and who just maybe they just prefer console gaming. They're filling a niche, you know, and Surface fills a niche. And Microsoft have gotten really good at marketing to niches since the advent of Surface. You know, Surface has spawned an entire category of computers, and you've even got Apple copying the Surface with the iPad Pro. You know, so I think there is a market for this console. I don't think it's going to be huge, but this isn't a generational leap. It's, you know, a mid-gen console, you know. So I think none of this matters, and we should just play games and shut up about it.
Yeah, but Michael Pachter loves talking about Xbox, though.
I don't know. I don't really follow the guy. Does he? I don't know.
I mean, he does. I mean, I think he said that he expects it to sell 1 million this holiday, and it won't be very good. But then I think he also then retracted that statement. I don't know. I think like he just likes to have his name in the headlines, so people talk about him. You know, like that type of thing. But yeah, I think the X is going to do well. And now we are hearing, or they at least are saying, that the pre-orders for the standard edition are going to be opening up sometime this month, and I think that would be the one to kind of look at, because you kind of figured the hardcore Xbox fans are going to get the system day one, like right away. Now that all the hardcore, you know, fans have kind of pre-ordered their system, it's going to be interesting to see how fast or slow the regular edition kind of does. You know, like I'm gonna have my eye on that one because I want to see. You know, Jez, you know how in America here, the Xbox and Taco Bell teamed up, right? Man, Jez is on a banning spree in chat. You better be nice, or else Jan is just gonna.
I'm just banning the console warrior fanboys, man. Just take that shit.
You gotta be nice. Gotta be nice, otherwise Jez will ban you.
Yeah, you can.
But Xbox and Taco Bell, they teamed up, and they're giving away like an Xbox One X every 10 minutes. It started on the 31st. Somebody sent me his like winning picture, like of what he won. And Jez, I don't know if you know this, but it sounds like if you win from Taco Bell, you're gonna get that system early, because it looks like, judging from the fine print, they start shipping the X's to the winners in like 2.5 weeks.
Well, that's just great, isn't it? That's just marvelous.
So I'm gonna try to win me one, and then in October, with all those games coming out, I'll be with my Xbox One X, and Jazz will be sitting there.
Win me,
you know, you're gonna get one from Windows Central's review unit. Stop it.
Well, actually, no. Our review unit will go to Daniel Rubino, because they've got the YouTube studio over there, so they'll be doing that there. But I've got my Scorpio edition pre-ordered. You know I have, man.
I know. Now, one of the other promotions that Xbox has is with Samsung. I did find this. I didn't really expect this one, although maybe I should have with the 4K stuff. Do you know a little bit about this this kind of partnership between Xbox and Samsung, Jez?
Yeah, it's just a marketing thing. It's not like QLED is better than OLED, because it isn't. So I don't.
So is this like Samsung's gonna tell their protective buyers that, hey, Xbox One's the best console, and Xbox can be like, hey, you're looking for a TV, get a Samsung, kind of thing?
I guess it's something to match Sony's Bravia Play, maybe, because you know there's going to be Bravia bundles probably. I don't know. I don't get that. It's not like QLED isn't the best. It's OLED's the best still. So I don't get that. It's just a marketing thing, isn't it? I don't know.
Everything's marketing, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Everything is marketing. Now,
life is marketing.
I want to talk about PUBG real fast. This might be an interesting discussion. So I did a video yesterday about PUBG hitting 10 million sold. They announced 8 million sold at Gamescom when you were there 2 weeks ago. So the game sold 2 million copies in 2 weeks, right?
That's a lot.
10 million sold. We don't know when it's coming out on Xbox. It could come out in December. The game could literally be at like 16 million on PC before it even hits Xbox, right? It could be at 20 million if they're selling 1 million copies a week. Who knows, right? It's taking over the gaming industry. People are going to copy this game left and right. Then there was an interview that came out recently about Microsoft. One of the bigger news at Gamescom was that Microsoft is picking up the publishing duties of this game. And I know a lot of people don't really understand that, Jez, so I'm going to ask you, can you explain what that actually means? Like, what does Microsoft publishing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds actually mean for the game and for Xbox people, Xbox users?
So basically, with Microsoft Publishing, they'll handle marketing, they'll handle distribution, all that sort of stuff. Basically, it'll be their job to make the game a success. Well, it lets those guys focus on developing the game, because a lot of indie studios they do a lot of their own marketing, and it's never as good as having a marketing agency. And it's that sort of stuff, it's pretty much everything except the game development part of making the game happen. And they've done that because they're in a position where they have to rapidly expand. They are rapidly expanding. They went from like a small indie game to almost a million concurrent users on Steam, which is ridiculous. It's unheard of that could happen, especially for a non-Valve game. It's pretty nuts. And to handle that sort of rapid expansion, they've partnered with Microsoft to help them with the growing pains. And we've seen like with Mixer itself has come from a similar place, where they're basically like an indie startup with a small team, and then all of a sudden they're integrated with Windows and Xbox One, and they've had growing pains of their own. They've had server problems and that sort of thing. So it's basically just to help out with that sort of stuff. And I tweeted this when it happened, that it doesn't mean it's not coming to PlayStation. PUBG is definitely coming to PlayStation. But they're not saying it's coming to PlayStation because there hasn't been a single line of code written for that version yet.
Yeah, and that was in the article I read today, where they talked about what Microsoft is doing. Microsoft is sending engineers to help port the Xbox version, so the main team at Bluehole can actually focus on the PC version, right? They talked about, and I thought this was interesting, that since they are part of Microsoft publishing it, they're talking about using the technology of the water that Rare uses for Sea of Thieves, taking that technology and putting it into PUBG. Did you see this article that came out today?
I didn't see that, no.
Yeah, so they're thinking about putting the water physics from Sea of Thieves, because it's both Unreal games or something like that. They might use it in that. The guy even asked about PS4, and the guys basically said, look, Microsoft is pretty much porting the Xbox version. They're sending us engineers, right? Everybody else is full hands on deck to the PC version. Really have nobody else. So like, while he didn't say it'll never come to PS4, he said it ain't going to come for a while because they're so focused on the Xbox version and the PC version that, like you said, there's literally nobody else working on anything else. So it very well could come to PS4 in 2019, 2018, 2020. Who knows? I mean, I think it'll come at some point, but
it's going to be a while, because you've got to presume that if basically Microsoft is helping them port to Xbox, but they ain't going to help them port to PlayStation, obviously. So they'll have to handle that themselves unless Sony steps in and helps them out and stuff. And presumably Sony will want that on their platform because it's turned into a huge phenomenon,
I know, like, look at this, because I was like looking at the numbers, right? Because I like the numbers. 10 million sold, $30, right? If you just take that, Steam gets 30%. So Steam literally pocketed $90 million off of the back of the success of PUBG for not doing anything. The only thing they did is because they have the storefront. 90 million in the back pocket. That is what these companies want. That is why you get into the video game industry. That is why when people say Microsoft is going to pull Xbox out, because Microsoft sells all these games. They're making a cut 30% cut from every single game sold on their storefront,
Dude,
whether it's a full game or
Xbox,
whether it's microtransactions, you know?
Xbox is bigger than Windows. I think a lot of people don't realize this now, but Xbox represents a larger chunk of Microsoft's revenue than Windows itself, and Windows runs on 500 million devices. So
This is why Microsoft wants
game.
to get the Windows 10 store up and running, because they want to be like Steam. They would just want to be like, we'll just sell your game and pocket 30%, you know?
I think it's 20% Windows 10 store.
Is it 20%?
Right,
so they even went lower than Steam?
Yeah.
Because I thought it was just straight up 30 because Steam does 30. I assumed Microsoft and Sony did 30 as well.
For apps or something. But I'm sure someone told me they're undercutting Steam, but maybe I imagined it. I don't know.
That's too bad nobody really uses the Windows Store, though, unfortunately.
I do. Right.
I know. And, speaking of games using Windows Store, a little info that came out today, which I thought was pretty interesting, is that Killer Instinct, a game that has crossplay on Xbox One and Windows 10, they just announced today, you can go on their blog and look for the new update. It unlocks crossplay on Steam. So Killer Instinct, you'll be able to play crossplay Xbox, Windows, and Steam, which is great for that game. And because we did have a Twitter, someone asked us on Twitter if we thought like Age of Empires and Rise of the Nations would come to Xbox or whatever too, or be crossplay. But Microsoft recently just kind of opened up crossplay with Rise of Nations between Steam and Windows. You think this is big going forward? A lot of Windows, Steam kind of deals going on, crossplay between both.
I think a lot of gaming outlets haven't really picked up on this, and it's that Microsoft and Steam are now playing nice with each other. They're playing nice with each other, which is something you would not have believed to have happened in the Windows 8 days, because Gabe Newell came out and said something like, "Oh, Microsoft are trying to take over the PC ecosystem by putting a store in there," but Windows is in trouble. Windows is getting absolutely destroyed by mobile right now, and Steam started to realize, and PC growth has stalled. PC as a device family is not growing. But one of the only sectors that is growing is gaming PCs. More and more people are buying gaming PCs. But Windows itself isn't growing. And because of that, Steam has realized that for Steam to grow, they need PC to grow, because Steam isn't ever coming to mobile, because it relies on Win32 APIs. And there are also really, really big players on Android right now. So there are really big players on Android that Steam will never compete with, like Tencent, who own the biggest Android store in China and stuff like that, and also Google in the West. So for that purpose, Steam and Microsoft seem to be playing nice with each other to try and help Windows grow, because it's not growing right now. And I think we're going to see even more surprising developments between Steam and Windows and Xbox in the coming months and years ahead. It's interesting days. It's interesting times. We're getting mouse and keyboard on Xbox.
Yeah, we need to talk about that in a minute. But finish your thought. Yeah.
We've got mouse and keyboard on Xbox coming. We've got full API compatibility between UWP and Steamworks, which is something nobody thought would happen. And now we're getting Steam is going to be directly integrated with Windows Mixed Reality as well, which is another way that Valve believes gaming is going to grow with the whole VR stuff. So, it's interesting days, and people are telling me stuff in the chat like, "Oh, everyone uses Windows for Business. Everyone uses Windows for Business." Yeah, that's true. People do use Windows for Business, but the thing is, Microsoft doesn't profit from that. Microsoft sells the license sells a Windows license to an OEM. OEM sells that PC. Microsoft doesn't see a cut unless they rope that business into Office 365 or Azure and stuff like that. And a lot of that profit goes into the Azure bucket. It doesn't necessarily go into the Windows bucket. Windows itself needs to change and have a new business model. And that's partially why they put the store in, because the store is a way that Windows as a service, quote unquote, can profit. Like there's not going to be a Windows 11. This is it, you know.
Jez, PSN down says you can't have crossplay without a live account. No one can have the same account name. That's not true whatsoever, because I played Rocket League crossplay against PC. They're just PC tags.
Yeah.
You might be thinking maybe more of Minecraft, but even still, like a lot of like when you talk about like crossplay with Minecraft, right? A lot of like the PlayStation fans will be like, "Oh, Microsoft only wants to do this because it'll inflate their numbers and shit," which isn't true. It's like an API that you sign into that basically kind of gives you. I mean, I kind of heard the details, but like, you know, it's not as nefarious as like, well, Microsoft wants to use PlayStation to boost their like numbers and stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of, as anything with the internet, there's always a lot of misinformation about everything, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, it is a weird time. Steam and Xbox working together. But what is even weirder to me, and before we get into this topic, we have 270 people. Thank you guys so much for rocking out with me and Jez. If you could do us a big favor, if you're enjoying the show, hit that like button. It helps us a lot, puts the show into algorithms more, does a lot for the channel. Subscribe if you're new as well. Follow Jez on Twitter. His Twitter handle's in the link below because Jez loves Twitter.
I do, but I'm addicted to it. It's
yeah, it is. He tweets a lot. But Jez, I'm keyboard and mouse coming to Xbox. I'm not the biggest fan of this idea. Like, I know Microsoft is
wrong, but go on.
I know. Okay, I'm wrong, but let me just tell you. I'm not the biggest fan because I know Microsoft is going about it the right way. They're like, listen, if we do this, it's gonna be done well. We have all these, parameters set up. We're gonna be keyboard and mouse versus keyboard and mouse. Controller versus controller, or everybody free for all. Fine. But I look at it like this. Microsoft, and even when we had Mike on the show, like we had Mike Pachter on the show a couple weeks ago, we asked him a lot about questions. And some of the questions he would say, there's not enough user engagement on, it's, or go to the user voice and vote it up and things like that. I honestly see that the usage of keyboard and mouse on Xbox would be minuscule, like less than 5%. Something that Microsoft wouldn't invest in. They got rid of Snap for less because Snap was like 10% or less or whatever. I see basically nobody using keyboard or mouse on Xbox. So I don't see a purpose it serves.
If it's an option.
But it doesn't, I know, but the thing is YouTube streaming. Remember we asked Mike about YouTube streaming. Like, hey, can we stream to YouTube? And he was like, well, go vote that up on here. And we've heard, they got rid of Snap because nobody really used it. And yet they're going to put in a feature that, in my opinion, I could be wrong because I am wrong, a lot. I don't think anybody's going to use keyboard and mouse. I think it's going to be one of those things they use and like 2% of users actually try it. So I'm confused with the idea of implementing something nobody's going to use, but yet they get rid of other things and they blame user engagement on. So unless this has some bigger play down the road, like they need keyboard and support because this will help games like League of Legends or Dota or World of Warcraft or primarily bigger PC games to come to the platform, okay, maybe. Or if they have some like grand design of merging Xbox and Steam down the road. Otherwise, I don't see the benefit in.
Dude. What? This is all about getting Microsoft Excel onto Xbox One. And then if people can use spreadsheets on their Xbox, that's it. Console was over. That's it, man. It's done. Nah.
I know. I see some of the people saying that in chat. I don't really see a lot of people using keyboard and mouse on the Xbox, right?
Dude,
I see.
This is not about using key. They talk about it like this is about activating keyboard and mouse on Xbox, but really it's more about just getting the API, the application interface into the Universal Windows platform. And because the Xbox One has the Universal Windows platform, it'll have mouse and keyboard by virtue of the fact that UWP has mouse and keyboard. And it's not like Minecraft on the Alpha Ring right now allows the use of mouse and keyboard, and that's not because they programmed it to use mouse and keyboard. The UWP version of Minecraft just allows mouse and keyboard, and they literally just turned it on. They just switched it on. They just uploaded a .dll file to the Xbox One, and now it works. It's because it's a Windows machine. What this is about, it's not about all games suddenly supporting mouse and keyboard, because that's not going to happen. I don't think Destiny 2 on Xbox One will support mouse and keyboard. I don't think Battlefront 2 will support mouse and keyboard. I don't think Battlefield 1 will support mouse and keyboard, or Call of Duty. This is about giving developers who purposefully avoid console because they don't have mouse and keyboard. This gives them the option to port their game to a console for the first time ever. So you got games like Stellaris on PC, which is so complicated. It's such a complicated game that it couldn't work on a console with a controller without a complete overhaul of the UI. But if you have mouse and keyboard support on your Xbox One as an option, then Stellaris could come to Xbox One as a game that's exclusive to mouse and keyboard, that you have to plug in a mouse and keyboard if you want to play Stellaris on your Xbox One, and it'll have a massive banner saying this game requires mouse and keyboard. And it's like Kinect. There were games that pretty much required Kinect, and and they had a big Kinect banner over the top of it. So this isn't about making Xbox One the keyboard and mouse console. It's about allowing PC developers the opportunity to bring their games to a console for the first time ever. But Microsoft are going to be careful about this. They're not going to let mouse and keyboard players fight against controller players in Call of Duty, which I keep seeing suggested every single day.
Well, that's not why that's not why I was concerned about it, because I know Microsoft will do well protected. I'm just kind of curious about the idea of doing this when, like I said, unless they have focus testing data or internal data that shows it'll be bigger than I think, I don't think anybody's going to use it. But
there'll be games that they have to use it for. There'll be games that they have no choice but to use it for. And the thing is, as well, and you say okay, maybe they'll put Stellaris on Xbox One and it'll require mouse and keyboard, and nobody will buy it because they don't want to use mouse and keyboard. That's fine. But if Stellaris is ported to UWP and it's on the Windows 10 store, then it'll just be on Xbox anyway, because it's the same store. So it's just about creating an environment where the Windows 10 store can coexist with the Xbox even more, rather than see it as a separate entity. It's that's all it's about, man. It's about the Windows 10 store and making the Windows 10 store and the Xbox store closer together. I mean, at the minute we've got two different versions of City Skylines right now. We've got the Xbox version and the Windows 10 store version. They both sit on the Windows 10 store, and they're separate from each other. They don't have Xbox Play Anywhere, and this is because the Xbox One doesn't support mouse and keyboard. They had to completely revamp the UI, and dude, it took them 2 years just to revamp the UI. They didn't change the game or anything. They had to just condense all these complicated City Skylines controls into a D-pad, joysticks, radial menus, and that sort of thing. It took them 2 years, man, and they're a small team. Wouldn't it be so much easier if Microsoft could say, don't worry, small indie dev, don't waste 2 years of development time retrofitting your game for controller. We'll just give you mouse and keyboard support on the Xbox One. That's so much easier. It's a no-brainer, So with that in mind, it makes total sense to have mouse and keyboard on Xbox One when the Windows 10 store is pretty much the same entity. And as long as they keep it separate from, in competitive ladders, as long as the peripherals are separate by input, which they are going to do, they will never force people to compete Xbox keyboard, Xbox controller versus keyboard and mouse. That'll never happen. That will never, ever happen. And if it does happen, I will eat my Surface Pro 3 if it does happen. But yeah, this is more about developers, and
I mean, I know Microsoft's all about the developers, and options are good. I never said options weren't good. Weren't. I'm curious at like the reason I'm thinking about it is I'm curious that they're going to implement something that, in my eyes, in my opinion, the usage rates will be minimal, like almost like none. So I just find it curious that Microsoft would implement something that what I would think nobody would use.
but on
When we've
Xbox it'll be
seen
minimal,
them,
yeah. But
we've
it won't
seen
be
them cut.
minimal on Windows 10. It won't be minimal in the
Well,
Windows
maybe,
10
but
store, and
we've
that's
seen
the same
Microsoft cut
program.
features. Okay,
It's the same
I don't
program
know.
on both platforms, so it's the same game. If someone brings a keyboard only game to the Xbox store, it'll be a UWP game that just sits on Xbox and Windows 10 store at the same time. So it doesn't matter if nobody plays it on Xbox One. They'll have that option, but they'll also have the option of playing it on PC and the Windows 10 store, and it will be the same app package. It'll be the same app on both platforms.
really quick question, Jess. Don't you think there's kind of a shit ton of games on Xbox every week? Not only Xbox, but play. I mean, I mean, we talked about earlier, like the games that came out last week. How many did you? What was there? 15 games?
I don't know. It's ridiculous. I mean, this week
But I'm just saying, like, they're all not going to sell. And now you're going to add a game that is keyboard and mouse only. It's only people who can buy it on Xbox or people who use keyboard and mouse. Now it's like, oh, okay, yeah, like that, like,
but
okay,
that's
sure.
the thing, though. It's more about building up the Windows 10 store, and again, nobody uses the Windows 10 store today, but that's because it has no games on it. But if Microsoft can say to a dev, bring your game to the Windows 10 store and it'll just work on Xbox.
Okay,
If they can say that, that's a pretty compelling use case. And
real
even more,
one.
I can say it'll work on Xbox, it'll work on Windows 10 store, and it'll work on Windows Mixed Reality. If they're trying to unify their whole device family, and it's a massive gargantuan task, and maybe the market will reject it, but nobody's ever tried this before, and for them to make Windows Mixed Reality compelling, for them to make UWP compelling to developers, for them to make the Xbox One, give the Xbox One more differentiation against the PS4, they have to do these wacky and crazy things, that it's differentiation. It's about making UWP more attractive to developers, and it's about making the Windows 10 store more rich with content, because as we all know, the Windows 10 store isn't that good right now. But maybe it would be if those games could come to Xbox with just a standard mouse and keyboard. I honestly think, ultimately, Rand, this is something the developers have asked for. Microsoft managed to persuade City Skylines dev to retrofit their entire game for controllers. They managed to persuade them, but there's thousands of other devs that will just say, "Nah, that's not going to happen." World of Warcraft, for example, you couldn't play a demonology warlock with a controller. You'd fry your brains out probably, and stuff like that. Some games just need a mouse and keyboard, and if Xbox has a mouse and keyboard support, then it opens up a world of possibilities.
Right, and some people are saying in chat, like, people use keyboard and mouse all the time. This would be a selling point over Xbox, over PS4. Somebody's like, Rand, why do you think no one will use keyboard and mouse on Xbox? They're already doing it, dude. And, like, yeah, I know you can if you use those third-party devices, but people use that to get a competitive advantage. As soon as you kind of get rid of that, and as soon as you allow keyboard and mouse on there and you're in playlists with other keyboard and mouse users, there's no more competitive advantages. Like, people do anything to get a competitive advantage in games for whatever reason,
I think
a lot of people do.
I think it's super lame to use one of those keyboard and mouse things on Xbox right now. The converter things. That is so lame.
Look at the Xbox One Elite controller. I mean, a great controller, super expensive, basically costs the price of 3 controllers. But a lot of people bought that because they thought it would give them a competitive advantage over other people with the paddles and stuff. People will spend money if they think it'll give them an edge over other people. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe keyboard and mouse support comes out and everybody who has Xbox has their keyboard and mouse plugged in. But maybe I'm just an archaic mindset that if you are really that interested in keyboard and mouse, I would assume you're playing on PC and playing those games there. Like, I get the idea. I'm not against the idea because of the competitive angle, because I know Microsoft has that covered, and I'm not against the idea, like, in theory, because like options are great as we've talked about. I'm just kind of, it confuses me because we've seen Microsoft drop features because nobody uses it, and yet they're going to implement a feature that I think nobody's going to use. Like, I don't know. I just find it weird.
There will be games that people have to use it for, I would presume. Microsoft are going to allow developers to bring their games to Xbox and not have support for controllers. So if you want to play those games, those complicated games, dude, they could port Football Manager over, and that's one of the biggest games on Steam. Imagine Football Manager on your Xbox. That'd be a system seller, man. In the UK, it really, really would.
Football Manager, come on now.
Football Manager on Xbox would be a system seller in the UK, guaranteed. My stepdad would probably buy an Xbox for the TV downstairs if he could do that. I imagine.
All right, let's switch topics. This one, I guess we'll have to revisit this when keyboard and mouse support actually does come out. You wrote an article the other day about Xbox game gifting and the store wish list, which Mike talked about at Major Nelson's PAX panel. One of them is coming very soon, and one of them isn't. If you had to guess, which one is coming soon and which one isn't?
Well, there are lines of code for game gifting in the operating system, but there isn't lines of code for wish lists. So I would presume game gifting is coming first. Game gifting makes more sense because it's going to be a huge boost in revenue for the holiday season. Dude, if they bring gifting to Xbox One for Christmas, I will do my entire Christmas shopping across my Xbox. I won't even touch Amazon. I'll just
what are you going to give me, buddy?
Well, you own every single game in existence. You don't need more.
That is true. I do have no, but you're right. I had the same thought. Like, it makes sense. Holidays coming, people do holiday shopping. It makes sense to implement game gifting now. The wish list stuff, while cool, can essentially wait. If I was Microsoft, I would prioritize game gifting.
Most definitely. I mean, it's not just going to be great for gifting. It's going to be great for streamers as well. Like, if you're doing a giveaway and you just want to, make sure that the right person gets the game, they could even integrate with Mixer, man. You just do a /giveaway game, and then it looks up the game for you, and then you can just buy it and give it away straight away from your stream. How awesome would that be? And also, it'd be a ridiculous amount of free money for Microsoft, because we wouldn't have to go. Because at the minute, if you want to gift an Xbox key, it's super hard to do, especially for indie games. Either you're like going through shady third-party websites that have purchased keys from reviewers and YouTubes and stuff, or you're you're using Amazon or something, because Amazon does sometimes stock digital keys, but not very often. It'd be so much easier. So it's going to be a ridiculous amount of revenue for Microsoft. Does the PlayStation have gifting?
No. I think none of the current consoles have gifting. Only Steam does. In fact, the only current console that also has digital refunds is Xbox as well.
How dumb is that? Seriously, how dumb is that?
I think there's there's got to be a lot of red tape around it, Otherwise, I think it would be implemented everywhere. Yeah, I mean, like, what about like you said, like, what if you buy me a game, you send it to me, but I decline it? Does it automatically refund it for you? Do I have to accept it automatically? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of different scenarios they go through to see, and I'm sure it's probably been in testing for a while. If they say soon, I'm sure it's one of those things that'll probably be in-game preview first or preview program. Probably.
Oh yeah, it'll be on the offering first, for definitely.
What else? I mean, like, it's gonna be pretty cool for game gifting. People wanted that for a while. What was some other kind of bigger topic? Oh, the Shadow of War. Now, you've kind of been vocal about this microtransaction stuff, Shadow of War.
Yeah.
What do you think about this the memorialization they've done for the developer who died, and they put him in the game, and they're selling him as DLC. But they're gonna give $3.50 out of the $5 to the family, but like only if you're in like 44 of the states and not necessarily anywhere in Europe. I mean, how do you feel about that? What is it?
You know, to be honest, I haven't looked into it that much. But if there's one publisher that I do not trust, to be honest, it's probably Warner Brothers.
I thought you were going to say Sony, but
well, I'm not really familiar with Sony, but Warner Brothers are the company that, really sold Arkham Knight on PC in a completely broken, completely destroyed state, and it was so bad to the point where like they had to apologize and issue refunds and all that stuff. Warner Brothers are just a pretty, they're just a pretty shady company, I think, and they're one of these companies that are so huge that they just don't really care what people think of them, and so like first of all, we've got these microtransactions and stuff in the single player campaign. It's a premium game, it's an expensive game, and every time you pause the game, you'll be given adverts to try and persuade you to gamble your money away on the off chance of getting some loot that helps you progress further in the game. Now, a lot of people always say to me, like, especially game developers, they say to me like, oh, Jez, you don't have to buy them. You don't have to buy them. But what if I've got an addictive personality, like gamblers, and it's the same tactics that they use in casinos to try and get people with addictive personalities to gamble their money away and ultimately lose, because the developer controls the frequency by which you will get loot in those gambling crates, and they are gambling crates, and they're definitely gambling crates because China has legislated against them. And they've basically said, okay, if you want to have these gambling crates, you have to tell people what is the actual chance of them getting a decent piece of loot. And that in China, that they have to list the chance that you'll get something on there. And I just think it's shit, personally, because I don't want to be treated like a mark in a casino when I've had a hard day at work and I want to sit down with a game and relax for a bit. I don't want to step into a casino, man. I want to step into a fucking video game. And I think developers are pretty shitty to do that to their gamers, to try and bleed more money away. Now, if the problem is that 4K game development is just really expensive, then maybe it's time we have to think about raising the price of games, or at the very least offering different tiers. Maybe if you are someone who doesn't want to raise the price of games, maybe they could offer a cheaper version of the game that does have the free-to-play elements in it. But if you are someone who doesn't want the gambling casino bullshit in the pause menu every time they're just trying to play and have fun, then maybe you have to pay a premium, or maybe you could pay extra for the 4K version or something. I don't know. The idea of a fixed price for a game is getting a little bit problematic. And because the game prices are fixed, developers, for whatever reason, I don't know. I haven't seen Warner Brothers' balance sheet. I don't know if they're actually gonna be, if they're suddenly gonna go out of business if they don't have microtransactions in their game. Are they suddenly gonna go out of fucking business if they don't have microtransactions in Shadow of War? Or is the CEO not going to be able to buy an extra yacht that year? Is it greed, or do they actually need that money? I don't fucking know, because I don't have the balance sheet in front of me. But what I do know is that I don't fucking want it. I don't want it, Rand.
Do you want it? Is it? But it's not just Warner Brothers. I mean, you were very vocal about your distaste of the Gears microtransactions.
Now, the thing about the Gears microtransactions is, at least with Gears of War, they added a shitload of new content after the game launched. And, I'm part of the problem. I've got an addictive personality, man. I bought Gears micropayments. And, and maybe that makes me a hypocrite.
And Overwatch.
And Overwatch as well. But at least
you're
Overwatch
part of the problem, Jez. You're the reason why it's all in there. Because I just realized I'm doing a podcast with a person who supports the thing he's talking. He hates this, but yet he supports it.
But I add caveats here, right? Because at least Overwatches are cosmetic. That's fine. And the thing about Overwatch is that it's a game as a service. It's evolved. It's got a new maps. It's got a new game modes. It's got a new characters, and they've all been given to us for free. Is Shadow of War gonna have free DLC? You know it's not gonna have free DLC because it's got a motherfucking season pass, man. It's got a season
love
pass.
Overwatch because of the sexy ladies and the waifus.
Yeah, okay, fine. I mean, I do mainly play McCree, who's not particularly a waifu material, but
Or maybe he's your husbando.
Husbando. Yeah, maybe he is, but I mean, it's just annoying, I mean, at least with a game like Gears of War, which how many maps they added? Oh, they've added over 20 extra maps in multiplayer since then. They added a pretty big update to Horde mode, and they've done all that using the money they got from the micropayments, But Shadow of War's not going to add stuff from getting the micropayments. They're just going to give their executives a bonus, and he's going to go off and buy an extra yacht or two, Even the developers aren't going to see any of that money either. It's all just going to go to the publishers and the executives.
Hopefully the family gets the money from that DLC. I mean, they say they are. So
now I was just talking about the microtransactions.
Right. You were just talking about the microtransactions in general.
I wasn't talking about the DLC that honors the developer who passed away. Now, I mean, for those who don't know, Shadow of War will also have a downloadable content that adds an orc to the game who helps you randomly, and the orc sort of based on one of the, I think it's the executive producer, I believe, who sadly passed away during the development of the game. Now, the proceeds from that DLC will go to the family of the deceased game developer, but only in the US. So that DLC, the profits from that DLC in Europe and other territories will go straight to Warner Brothers.
Well, Warner Brothers has come out and they've said that they won't profit off of it, but I don't know how they're going to do that. But I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, the game comes out in a month, but I did want to switch topics real quick because I want to give some props to Microsoft's sneaky marketing, and maybe you know where I'm going with this, Jez. So we all know Destiny 2 came out this week, right? Big game. I mean, one of the biggest games in the year. In fact, I predicted it to be the third biggest selling game of the year after Call of Duty and Star Wars Battlefront. I think Destiny 2 will be the third. But Sony has a stranglehold on the marketing of this game. However, Microsoft came out this week and they cut prices of the bundles of the Xbox One S's. And they even allow you to pick 2 extra games. And one of them, and they do say in the advertisements, can be Destiny 2. So for like $250, you can get an Xbox One S with Forza Horizon 3, a game of your choice, and like Destiny 2. That is an insane bundle to think that back in 2013, I spent $500 for an Xbox One VCR with shitty Kinect.
Dude, don't shit on Kinect, man.
I will. Every possible opportunity I get, I will shit on the Kinect.
Have you got Kinect achievements?
I mean, yeah, I played a lot of the Kinect games on the 360. I hated that thing.
You wouldn't have got 1 million game score at E3 if it wasn't for Kinect.
Yeah, I know. I probably should have did like Dance Central as my million or something, right? You saw me bust.
You should have done Barbie.
I should have. But this is some pretty good advertising. A little sneaky in there to tell people that Destiny 2 is on Xbox. Hey, there's a sale going on. You can get 3 games for $250 or whatever. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, they kind of did this back in 2014 as well. In fact, they usually do this when Sony has a big marketing deal. I wouldn't be surprised when they do it. They do it for Red Dead or maybe Star Wars or something. But what do you think about all this?
Well, Microsoft are pretty clever when it comes to marketing games that they're not allowed to market. I mean, we had that whole thing with Destiny before, where where Sony took out an ad on one page for Destiny 1, sorry, and then Microsoft took out an ad on the next page saying this is available on Xbox 2. That was genius. And also that Destiny perfume thing, that viral thing, which they got a cease and desist for from Activision like instantaneously. That's really funny. But I think it's a smart move, especially like since for better or worse, Destiny's going to be the most talked about game, at least for the next few weeks. Getting in there in some way was probably super smart. And hopefully Microsoft pushes that bundle, because that'll sell systems, man. Especially for people who maybe they played Destiny 1 on the Xbox 360, because don't forget that was available on that. And maybe this is the console that they buy to get the upgrade. I think it's smart.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to, get your system out there. I mean, 3 games for $250. I mean, we're talking Forza Horizon 3, which is a masterpiece of a racing game. Destiny 2, if you want, and what are the other ones? I mean, that's a pretty goddamn good deal, if you ask me. Of course, the big elephant in the room is like, well, the X comes out in 2 months, so how many people are really looking to buy an Xbox One S right now? I mean, like you said, maybe 360 users who are playing Destiny on 360.
TVs, man. I mean, I don't know what it's like in other territories, but I know at least in the UK, people aggressively gun for the better deal, and I think a lot of Brits, especially, people, the economy's shrinking right now, and people are saving money rather than splash out on a 4K TV. Maybe they'll just think, you know what, I'll just get an Xbox One S until we find out whether Brexit causes us to become a third world country or not. So and like someone said in the chat, it's $199 in the UK, which is insane. It's insanely good price. So it's a good bundle, man. I expect Microsoft aren't making a lot of money on that, if any, at all.
Yeah,
I'm dropping codes in chat, by the way.
I see that. Jez is dropping codes. Make sure you thank Jez for the codes. Another game that came out recently that had a lot of fanfare but didn't really do much is Lawbreakers. Oh, poor Cliffy B.
I just love how I love the arrogance leading up to that. Where he was fighting with Xbox fans and stuff like that. And like, even when like fans were just asking innocent questions like, is this coming to Xbox? He's being like really sort of shirty with them and stuff. So, it's funny now that the game isn't being well received. But
I mean,
we don't know how well it's doing on. It might be doing pretty well on PlayStation.
It's not. It's not.
No.
I mean, I think it's doing a tad bit better on PlayStation than it is on PC, but like, it's pretty much dead on both.
You pretty much hope so. I think Battleborn has more players, right?
Yeah, well, at least when it launched. Like,
I think right now. I think as of right now, Battleborn.
Oh well, like I think Lawbreakers had like 300 people playing it or something. Wow. Which we almost have as many people watching this podcast right now that are playing Lawbreakers. Think about that for a single second, there, guys.
Are you saying that we're bigger than Cliffy B?
Yeah, Cliffy B, get on my level.
Wow.
He's got a hot wife though.
I don't know. I haven't seen.
And he is rich. He's so rich. Like, he invested on the first wave of the Oculus stuff, and then Facebook bought him for like $2 billion. He made so much money off that.
I want some money. Can I have some money?
I want some money too, man.
I'm really poor right now because I just took my girlfriend to a really nice hotel, and now I've got no money left.
No money? You got no money to treat your girlfriend to some nice stuff anymore?
Well, I'm taking her to London next week, but after that, I'm going to have very, very no money. I won't be able to buy any games this holiday season, man. I'm just going to have to play Catherine on backwards compatibility, which I just installed.
Catherine?
Yeah, Catherine's on sale right now on Xbox Live. Yeah. Rovi says I'll spend it all on Destiny 2 microtransactions. If I buy a Destiny 2 microtransaction, I'm going to cut myself or something. Because it's just going to be so typical. They are attacking my personality by adding microtransactions in their games. Because they know I'm weak and I can't resist.
You got to be strong like me. I've never bought any of that stuff. I shouldn't
have to. The game developers shouldn't put me in a position to have to resist this stuff, And people say, well, if you don't buy them, then they won't add them. But, if soda companies don't put sugar in their drinks, maybe little kids won't get obese. And maybe I'm projecting a little here. you know. But that's why they do it. They do it because they're evil, not because they need money, not because the Warner Brothers CEO needs to feed his starving kids. They do it because they're evil, you know. And Roby says he's gonna add microtransactions to Age of Empires just for me. If I have to get a priest out of a loot crate in Age of Empires Definitive Edition, I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna write to my congressman. I don't have a congressman because I live in Germany, but I'm going to move to America and then write to my congressman, whoever that might be. Is Arnold Schwarzenegger a congressman, Rand? Still?
No, he was governor of California. I don't know if he's still governor. I don't think he is.
Can I write to him? Is he in any position to do something about Roby?
No.
Damn
no,
it.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Oh, I'm sad about this.
But yeah, poor Cliffy B, Lawbreakers. 200 people playing it. Came out and play. You know, you could argue wasn't the best time to launch. Maybe the game just nobody really cared. Maybe it looked generic. Nobody was going to stop playing Overwatch or Rainbow Six.
I don't know anything.
Game. I don't know.
I don't know anything about Lawbreakers. The thing is, I just saw Lawbreakers and immediately I thought, oh, it's an Overwatch clone. There's no way I'm going to stop playing Overwatch. So I'm just not going to invest in this game mentally at all. I'm not even going to research this game. I'm not going to look into this game. I don't have any interest in this game whatsoever because it's just an Overwatch clone. And we all know what happens to games that try to copy Overwatch. They get destroyed.
Well, Paladins does pretty well.
Yeah, but Paladins is free. Is Lawbreakers free?
No, Lawbreakers will be free at some point, I would imagine.
I would imagine too. It has to be free or it's going to be doomed. Doomed. Do you think Overwatch will ever go free?
No. Overwatch can no. I mean, Overwatch should be a free-to-play game because it has all the structures and everything of free-to-play game. But it's Blizzard. That game hardly ever goes on sale. People are fine paying that type of money.
But Blizzard are just a superior developer. You know, every developer wishes they always go to Blizzard.
Well, they're superior, but they also have their fan base will buy anything from them.
I will.
You know,
I will. I will buy anything from them. You know, dude. I didn't play World of Warcraft for years, but I still bought every single expansion that came out, even though I wasn't playing the game.
Dude, you know that's the thing. Keyboard and mouse support coming to Xbox. World of Warcraft on Xbox. You and Roby together on the Xbox. Keyboard and mouse support playing World of Warcraft.
See, World of Warcraft was the ultimate game for my personality because it was just like you give over your £10 a month, and it just runs your life for you. You know, you got your schedule raid every day. You know you have to do your dailies every day. It's the illusion of life progression for just £10 a month. It's amazing if you're a loser like me. It's the ultimate game, and if it comes to Xbox, it's going to be big because I think a lot of losers are on Xbox.
Well, you know, a game that is finally coming to PlayStation is Dead Rising 4, Jez. Dead Rising 4.
I don't like Dead Rising. I think that game's a lame. So, but a lot of people were really salty about this, and I think it's so funny. And people are like, oh my god, Microsoft, why isn't this exclusive? And it's just like, dude, do you even care about this game? Or are you just salty because you want points against PlayStation in console war? Well, who played Dead Rising 4? Like, did you complete it? I don't know anyone that's really played.
I only played the multiplayer portion of Dead Rising 4, so no. A lot of people didn't like it, didn't get good reviews. I don't know, because there's this, and people were upset that Microsoft wouldn't lock this game down. But then there was also the whole stuff with the hunt. Did you see all that stuff?
Oh, the 900p thing.
Oh my god! Like, where it was like a tweet from like middle of August, right? And they're like, the hunt's coming, and then someone asked them about the resolution. It was like, oh, it'll be this on the S and this on the PlayStation, and then it was like, I want 4K on the X and the Pro, and the guy's like, it'll be this on the Pro and the same resolution and frame rate as it was on base Xbox as the X. And then for whatever reason, people freaked out about this game that nobody had ever heard of and nobody was ever going to play besides maybe me.
I'm going to buy that game, actually. It looks quite fun.
People flipped out on some unknown hunting simulator game that they didn't even know existed, and they're like, "Why isn't this game getting enhanced for the X?" I can't, Jez. I just can't sometimes. I can't.
Well, you know, it's still. I mean, I can kind of I understand the argument when it comes to Destiny 2, because if Destiny 2 doesn't get Xbox One X enhanced, you have to wonder. Has Sony paid for that to not happen? But when it comes to an indie game that isn't enhancing for the X, maybe it's just because they don't have the manpower to enhance for the X. Maybe they don't see the monetary benefit of enhancing for the X. You know, maybe they're waiting to see how big the Xbox One X's install base is and that sort of thing. You know, but when it comes to Destiny, it's like Destiny should be investing in Xbox to help the platform grow so they can help themselves. It's like a mutual benefit sort of thing. But when it's an indie game, you can't attack those guys when it's an indie game. You know?
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I'm gonna buy that hunting game and I'm gonna enjoy it. And it's 900p glory.
It's just the fact that the people who were talking crap about this game didn't even know it existed. And then suddenly we're like,
well, I'm glad, because I didn't know it existed either until everyone went crazy about it. So they advertised the game to me, and now I'm going to buy it.
Now
I like simulator games.
There was a little bit of other kind of news, although maybe not. I don't know, about Assassin's Creed and a 1080p 60 frames mode. Now the story behind this is that YouTuber D-Batch, he went to Fan Expo in Canada, and during one of the days, he asked one of the Assassin's Creed developers, they were talking about it, and they made mention that they are currently working for a 1080p 60 frame option for the X for Assassin's Creed, which would be great news, because that would be great. I would play that in 60 frames. But then DualShockers went and asked Ubisoft, and Ubisoft kind of said, it's too early to say because the game's frame rate hasn't been locked down, period. And then they went into this whole thing of how they'll take advantage of it. They didn't outright say no. Like, they didn't come out and say, no, we are hard at work on finishing Assassin's Creed. There is no other mode or whatever. They kind of skirted around the topic. So I'm going to ask you, because people are asking me, ask Jez. Jez, do you know of any super secret 1080p 60 frames mode?
I don't know.
Coming to Assassin's Creed Origins?
I don't have any contacts at Ubisoft that I could ask about this. But, you know, it's always funny, you know, when you go to these events and there are developers there, they aren't PR people. They're just game devs, you know. And a lot of the stuff is, you know, especially if it's a lower level dev, maybe it's just their opinion or their idea that's not actually going to make it into the full game. Like an executive producer or the creative director could just come down and say, we're not going to add multiple modes to this because it'll confuse stupid console players, you know. So maybe, you know, maybe that's the case. Maybe they're testing multiple modes for it, but maybe they'll just turn around and say, you know what, we don't want to add this. We've decided not to add this and stuff. And you know, I learned this the hard way, because when I went to E3, I spoke to an Assassin's Creed Origins game developer, and I said, so this is 4K on the Xbox One X. And they were like, yes, this is solid 4K on the Xbox One X. And I was like, well, you've also said this is going to be 4K on the PS4 Pro. And they're like, yeah, it's going to use variable resolutions on the PS4 Pro. It's going to use checkerboarding, blah blah blah. And I said, so are you telling me that the Xbox One X version is going to be the best looking version? And the developer said to me, you won't be able to tell the difference between the two versions. You will not. He said to me, you won't be able to tell the difference between the version on the X and the version on the Pro. Now, that was a few months ago, and since then, Ubisoft have given interviews that have said, we're pushing the visuals on the X is going to be the best version, blah blah blah, and they've really sort of gone out of their way to try and sell the X version of the game. So who do you believe? Do you believe the low-level dev? Do you believe the interview with the marketing PR guy standing in the back? You know, ultimately, there's no way to know until the game's actually launched what it's going to look like and whether it's going to have any of these modes. I personally think having multiple modes is going to be a good thing, especially for maybe people who buy the Xbox One X who don't have a 1080, don't have a 4K TV. That'd be a great selling point, actually. if you can say like you got the Xbox One X now, enjoy 60 frames per second on your 1080p TV, upgrade to a 4K TV later if you fancy it. I think it'd be a great thing if lots of more games did this, because Tomb Raider's doing that, right? Tomb Raider's doing the 1080p 60 frames thing on Xbox
Oh,
One.
and yeah, there was that whole thing. Oh my God, the Tomb Raider thing.
Oh, was that drama as well? I don't even know that.
I mean, it kind of was, at least from what my cursory view of it is. Like, I don't know. They showed like an image of Laura with blood on her face on the Xbox One X thing, but it wasn't on the other two. So people thought that that blood and the damage wasn't present in the PC and PS4 versions, but it's just it is because I don't know. There was people went after Digital Foundry so hard. Like, I've never seen people go after Digital Foundries that much ever, basically.
They pissed off all the PC Master Race people. They pissed off all the Sony fans. They caught hell for that shit, man. And it was funny because I was sort of watching, Dirtgate. Sorry for a Smurf says Dirtgate. So it's funny because I was saying yeah, okay, the Xbox One X has an extra dirt texture, but there's no reason why they couldn't patch that into the PC version, because obviously a PC is always going to be more powerful than the console. It's always going to be more powerful because you can have, you've got 4 PCI slots that you can put SLI graphics cards in for days. You can link 10 graphics cards together if you want. And the sky's the limit.
What's even funnier is, as good as a game as Rise of the Tomb Raider is, and it's a fantastic game. It's a game from 2 years ago. Who cares? Who cares?
I care because I haven't played it. I haven't played it properly.
Well, okay, maybe for people who haven't played it, but for me, I'm like, I don't care if a game from 2013 is going to be improved. What is my system going to do for games this year and games moving forward? I don't care that Rise of the Tomb Raider looks better. I don't care. I played the game. I played the game twice. I might even play the third time because I do have an extra achievement to get. But when they come out and they say, oh, hey, Witcher 3 is going to get the update, Jess, are you going to go back and play Witcher 3 with that update?
Witcher 3 isn't getting the update.
I thought it was. I thought Witcher 3 was confirmed to be getting X enhanced. Is that now not true?
I think that was false information.
That's officially
up on stage.
Well, but it's on Major Nelson's website.
Is it?
Go take a look. I mean, that was one of the big ones.
Oh no, I'm wrong. I might be thinking of another game. Yeah, it is going to get an X patch. It's also going to get a Pro patch as well. Okay, I'm wrong about that. Yeah, I'll definitely go back and play The Witcher 3 then in that case, because Witcher 3 in 4K, that will melt your eyes. I mean, The Witcher 3 is, it's not even a game. The Witcher 3 is a religion.
Yeah.
It's blood, in my soul. The Witcher 3 is just on another plane of existence that no other developer can hope to approach. I don't think we'll get a game as good as The Witcher 3 until Cyberpunk 2077 releases, or maybe the next Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption. I think Rockstar and CD Projekt Red operate on a different plane of existence to the rest of the world when it comes to game development. Their games they're just better. They're just better. Their games are just better.
Look what Stu Jersey said. He says Rand doesn't care about a lot. I care about a lot. I usually care about stuff that is somewhat new. Here's the thing: is because I get razzed in my opinion on backwards compatibility. Rand, me, I live in the present. I don't care about 360 games. That is the past.
Well,
okay?
I'm going to play Catherine today.
I'm done with everything on the 360. I'm all about moving forward. So I don't care about back compat. I don't care about these games getting enhanced. Look, and you got to say, these are all my personal opinions. I know people out there like Jazz care about a Rise of the Tomb Raider thing getting patched because he hasn't played it. I'm only speaking for myself when I do these things. And then Uncompetitive says, I don't get the point of the achievements. I don't get the point of achievements either, man. I don't understand them either. I'm with you on that. I mean, what achievements? Who cares?
Anything. If you don't get the point of achievements, what do you get the point of anything? Everything is arbitrary bullshit that we use to give our lives meaning, So someone likes achievements, let them like achievements. Someone likes 4K resolution, let them like 4K resolution. Someone likes 60 frames, let them like it. let's all just stop being mean to each
Let's
other.
all sit together around the campfire and sing Kumbaya and play
Kumbaya.
Zoo Tycoon and Disneyland Adventures with the controller in native 4K.
No, not with the controller. Let's play with Kinect.
No. Those games are being patched in with controller support because Microsoft knows nobody cares about Kinect on the Xbox platform.
Zoo Tycoon, we can play it with Kinect, round. Me and
Jazz,
you playing it with Kinect.
I've told you this before, but Kinect is the reason for all the failures at Microsoft and Xbox.
Well,
everything can be traced back to the Kinect.
Well, what about Windows Mixed Reality? Because
nobody cares about VR.
It's not VR, Rand. It's MR. Okay.
There's no such thing. There's no such thing.
Every single Windows Mixed Reality headset has spatial tracking cameras in them, which was derived from Kinect technology. So if one day
it's bad.
If one day you get a HoloLens 3 and you have like a 3D waifu anime girlfriend in mixed reality, you have Kinect to thank for that, Rand.
Is any of this stuff going to work on Xbox?
Yes, you will get achievements.
Mike Ybarra said they have no plans. The VR stuff is all just on the Windows platform. He was asked this, remember?
When?
At
he didn't say no plans. He said we're focusing on Windows. He didn't say
no. I mean, if you go and watch the videos on my channel, he pretty much implied that it ain't coming to Xbox because the majority of their audience doesn't care about VR. I mean, ask Sony how VR is doing for them. Or ask Facebook how Oculus is doing for them.
It's coming. It's coming because Terry Morrison's pushing it. And Terry Morrison gets what Terry Morrison wants. Terry Morrison wants to kill my phone. He gets to kill my phone, Rand. If he wants to have anime girlfriends on Xbox in VR, he gets anime girlfriends on Xbox in VR with achievements.
Well, I mean, okay, we're talking achievements. All right, well, I'm in.
Would you play an anime girlfriend VR game for achievements?
I mean, I played Barbie for achievements and My Horse and Me Too for achievements and a whole bunch of games that, that you shouldn't play. So if you want me to play like Summer Lesson, like if Summer Lesson or whatever that game is came to Xbox, I'd play it. I played those other games, whatever. I don't care. Achievements are achievements, bro.
I asked Crap Gamer to review Summer Lesson, and I don't think he accepted. Do you think
I don't know.
I could gift him Summer Lesson?
Maybe.
I'll gift him.
I know my buddy Gopher is really big into like that type of
anime
stuff.
Girlfriends.
Yeah, like hentai and like anime girlfriends and things like that. Like he
loves
into
anime girlfriends. If you're into anime girlfriends in the chat, let us know. And maybe I'll give away a game in the chat to show my sympathy.
All right, so hit us up with some questions before we head on out. Anything you guys want discussed, we'll answer really fast because it's about getting around that time where Jazz is usually like, I gotta go, Rand, gotta go. I don't even have Twitter up, so if you DM'd me, I wouldn't even know that, Jazz.
I'm gonna give away another game. Circuit Breakers. That looks pretty cool.
That game's 6-player local co-op or whatever.
6-player local co-op game? Giving away in chat in a few seconds. Get those fingers. Get those copy-paste fingers ready, boys and girls.
Man. Well, I don't wanna make that bigger. There we go. Look at that Circuit Breakers.
Question about the LS35X. What is your question about the LS35X? Because I actually tried it out at Gamescom.
Enco wants to know if it's anti-consumer that you can't stream to YouTube on Xbox. I wouldn't consider that anti-consumer.
I mean, it's just in order for them to enable streaming from YouTube, from Xbox to YouTube, Google would have to actually make an app that isn't shit on Xbox, And I don't think Google is capable of making one of their apps not be shit on Xbox. So yeah, I think it's anti-consumer, but that's because Google is just an anti-consumer company. Their entire business model is designed around selling people's data and adverts and stuff. So they are by their very nature anti-consumer. So don't expect that to hit Xbox ever.
Gamora says, did Phil lie when he said they will continue to support Connect? Oh, no. They'll support it with Cortana, and they'll try to make it better and stuff. He didn't lie in that regard. I don't think anybody's going to make any more Connect games, because why would you? Because nobody really has Connect. But I don't think he lied. I think they'll still support Connect. They'll probably offer that, thingamabob where, if you owned a original Xbox or whatever, you can get one for free or something. But they'll continue to support it. Just with no games, though. Cypherman, he says, does the Microsoft team see the feedback from vids and forums, like how we reacted about our Gamescom or Crackdown or exclusives as people rated? Oh, yeah, they see all that stuff.
Microsoft is really aggressive. Well, I say Microsoft. Xbox is really aggressive about getting feedback. Whenever I go to a show, every single Xbox employee always asks me what I think of it. And they ask everyone what they thought. They want to know how people think. They want to know if they're doing the right thing and that sort of stuff. Microsoft as a whole, I don't think gives a crap about feedback. I know that the higher ups at the top, they don't give a crap about feedback. But you should be lucky that Xbox operates in a different way to the rest of Microsoft. I feel like every other division of Microsoft is really awful at feedback, but I think Xbox is a shining light when it comes to feedback, and I think we have Phil and Mike and stuff to thank for that.
Yeah. How much will PUBG sell on Xbox?
I think it'll be below full price. I don't think that they won't sell that full price.
Well, I think they said it'd be 30, but I was wondering. I thought his thing was like how much it will sell, like 5 million copies, 10 million copies.
Oh.
I don't know. Too early to tell. Don't know if here's the thing with PUBG. It might be just kind of a PC phenomenon.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think PUBG's success on Xbox is a definite thing, because what they're doing on PC is capturing the Counter-Strike crowd, the hardcore shooter crowd. There is no Counter-Strike community on Xbox. The closest thing you've got is Rainbow Six Siege, maybe. And that's a very different kind of game. I think for it to be really successful on Xbox, they really need to nail the polish. I don't think people are going to put up with the early access bugs on PUBG in the same way they do on PC, maybe. And it is a pretty polished game already, considering its early access. I haven't had any issues with it on my Razer Blade, so I've been pretty happy with it. But I don't think its success is definite on Xbox. I honestly don't.
Yeah, we don't know yet. It very well could be a PC phenomenon. Who knows? It may come out on Xbox and run into the issue a lot of early, game preview games have, which is servers don't work. You can't play. They're like Conan still doesn't work, or at least work well. So who knows? Cypress Smurf wants to know if you have a preference when it comes to buying collector's editions from games. I never was into that. I've never bought a collector edition for a game, and I'm entirely digital on Xbox One. And usually I just get, if I have to buy a game, like a AAA game or something, like I usually get the base version. I'm not really, like when I get Shadow of War, I'll get the base version. Like I'm not going to spend $100 for the extra stuff, but that's just me.
See, I am terrible with money, as we established earlier. I hate micropayments and microtransactions, but I still tend to buy them. I bought the $200 Fortnite bundle, and I hate myself for that because I don't even play the game anymore.
I told you, I don't know why you buy. I don't know why
I'm stupid, man. I tell you, I've got no self-control, and these evil companies are literally preying on me. But I do buy collector's editions because I love plastic crap. I bought the Fallout collector's edition. I bought the Recore collector's edition. I bought the Witcher 3 collector's edition, which is the Witcher 3 collector's edition is one of the only ones that I've actually been completely happy with. Like when I bought the Fallout one, I was like, wow, this is actually plastic crap. But when I bought the Witcher 3 one, it was like this really detailed, statue, and it was pretty awesome. And you got like art book with it, hardback art book. You got like a cloth map and a bunch of pins and stuff. And the Witcher 3 Collector's Edition was so worth it. But if you're a fan, so what I tend to do is I tend to buy collector's editions of franchises that I really love. Like if The Witcher 4 ever comes out, I'll be all over that. If Cyberpunk, I'll be all over that as well because it's CD Projekt Red and they can do no wrong. But I think a lot of the collector's editions are just kind of lame. But I think it's a way for fans to celebrate their games in an age where things are going digital. So like back in the day, I've got like a huge Xbox 360 collection even now. Like I've got like 150 Xbox 360 games, and they're all lined up. I have no Xbox One games that aren't digital because I went completely digital with this gen. So how do you like celebrate your passion and your hobby? The only way to do it really now is with the plastic crap that you get in collector's editions, So I think if you're really into the hobby, collector's editions are a good way to show off your passion for the hobby. But at the same time, a lot of it is plastic crap.
Yeah. Eagle wants to know when's the next time I'll be on Xbox Nation. Probably not for a while. He runs the stuff on Wednesday. I do the podcast with Jez on Wednesday. So the only reason I was on last week was because we didn't have Xbox 2. So I don't really like doing 2 podcasts in a day. Let's see. Face 23 BKNY wants to know, do you think PS5 will be on the horizon when Xbox gets their exclusives in order and ready to come out? So this is an interesting question, Jez, because Phil has come out and said they signed deals for newer exclusives that are years away, right? Definitely 2018, probably more 2019 than 2020. Now, PS5 is coming, right? People say 2019 or 2020. It's possible that the PS5 comes out right around the time Microsoft's new exclusives also launch. So, I don't know. What do you think about that?
The thing is, when it comes to Xbox's first party lineup, I've sort of slipped into this sort of coma of wait and see. I don't like speculating about the future of what Microsoft does now because honestly, Microsoft have disappointed me so many times over the years now. The Scalebound cancelled, Fable Legends cancelled, Microsoft Band cancelled, Windows Phone cancelled. They are aggressive at cancelling everything.
Crackdown 3 cancelled.
Well, Crackdown 3 is not going to get cancelled. If Crackdown 3 gets cancelled, we can have a bet.
Yeah, well, you told me that no, Rand, there's no way Scalebound gets cancelled when I told you I had heard it was cancelled.
Well, I was basing that on just how enthusiastic Hideki Kamiya was about the project when I met him. He was so enthusiastic about it and so happy about it, and it seemed like there was just no issues with it whatsoever. And also I knew like how badly it would damage the perception of Microsoft's first party if they did go ahead and cancel it. But they cancelled it anyway. So now I kind of feel like anything could get cancelled at any minute. Because the problem with Microsoft is, it's one of Microsoft's biggest strengths, but also their biggest weaknesses, is that their portfolio is so diverse. They don't really care about any single one of their divisions as much as other companies do. Like Sony really, really cares about PlayStation because it's critical to their business. But whereas Microsoft, if Xbox suddenly died, Microsoft, it wouldn't even dent Microsoft because they've still got Windows, they've still got Office, they've still got Azure, they've still got all these other platforms. And even Bing has become like $1 billion business now, which is, who'd have thought that'd ever be something that I say, where Bing is actually a profitable business. But that's the problem. Because Microsoft's portfolio is so diverse, none of their portfolio really gets the attention that it deserves, and their focus is so diffuse, And because of that, I've just sort of settled into this sort of, I'll wait and see, If Phil says there's exclusives on the horizon, great. I don't think Phil's a liar by any means, but at the same time, I also think Microsoft love canceling things without
They
really
love it. They
thinking
go
about
around. What can I cancel today?
Yeah, seriously. I think Terry Myerson was just one day, it was like, you know what? I just feel like canceling something today. And he just walked into the Microsoft band offices and just said, all you guys are fired. I genuinely think that is something that Terry does. You know, I don't like Terry. But why did they cancel Microsoft band? It was cool, man. I liked my band. And my phone and my Connect, and I even use Cortana, sometimes. And when's the last time Cortana got a meaningful update?
Yeah.
A million years ago?
Who knows? I mean, they say they're investing in it, but ABA CAB72 says, "Do you think Phil will have to backtrack on his don't believe in holding back content in order to compete with Sony for third-party exclusives?"
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He said maybe he doesn't believe in it, but sometimes maybe he has to do it to be competitive.
Problem with that is like Sony has such a dominant position that anything he would want to do would just cost him so much more money to do, you know? Um and I mean, is anything even worth locking down? I mean, Destiny 2 is coming to both platforms, even though Sony has the marketing, Red Dead, all that stuff. I mean, one could argue that these deals don't really help that much, but then again, the counter argument is that since all these companies do these deals, they must have data that says they do help, right?
Yeah.
Because if it didn't help, nobody would do it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we had this conversation before the podcast where Jez was saying that he doesn't really think Microsoft looks at Sony as competition. So maybe they don't care. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
I mean, and obviously Sony's competition, but what I mean is they've got bigger fish to fry. There are bigger things at stake than beating PlayStation with Xbox. It's like I talked about earlier. They are trying to save Windows from obscurity. I mean, I went to IFA last week, and I don't know what IFA stands for, but it's a big consumer electronics show in Germany, and I had to go there because nobody else from Windows Central wanted to go. I live in Germany, so basically I was forced to go and write about laptops for a few days. It was so boring. Such a boring show. All laptops, all business, everyone in suits. It's not like E3 where there's cosplayers walking around and people having fun and people drinking. It's all business, all stuffy and really lame. But the interesting thing at every keynote I went to a keynote for Asus, and I went to a keynote for Acer. I went to a keynote for Microsoft, and I went to a keynote for some other OEM as well. It's really funny, Rand. Half of each show was dedicated to gaming. Asus, all they did was talk about their gaming PCs. Acer had Windows Mixed Reality headset, gaming PCs. Microsoft also went balls deep on gaming, Windows Mixed Reality, blah, 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 and all this sort of stuff. And it's because they're realizing that for Windows to grow, gaming is a huge growth area for Windows. It's a huge growth area, and it's growing faster than other types of use cases for Windows. And that's where Xbox is heading. It's kind of like to help prop up Windows. And it's less about, competing with Sony, and it's more about saving Windows, competing with Google and iOS and stuff like that, and mobile, which is just taking over everything. There's even like mobile esports now. For mobile phone games, esports, mobile phone games, Rand.
Mobile sports games. Okay. Well, anyways, that's going to be the last question we're going to take because it's about time to wrap up the show. Jez got to go to bed. I have some other things to do. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We had like 270 pretty much the entire time. We really appreciate all your support. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications so you always get notified when we go live. Follow Jez or myself on Twitter. All the links are in the description. Jez, what do you have going on the rest of the week besides buying microtransactions on Destiny 2 with Roby?
Right. I am not working on anything on anything particularly interesting this week, quite honestly. I've just downloaded Killing Floor 2. I'm going to give that a go. I'm also going to be playing the Battlefield DLC because it's amazing. Also going to be streaming tomorrow morning on Mixer, giving away stuff. Me and Roby are giving away Xbox One Recon Tech Controller on Mixer tomorrow morning. The morning Mixer on mixer.com/Windows Central. Check the schedule there for more information. If you want to win a Recon Tech controller and a Recon Tech stand for it as well.
I want to win. I want that controller.
Well, you better come and watch the show, man.
I never win. I come into your stuff and I never win.
Well, have more luck, I guess, or something. But beyond that, I won't be doing much at all. I'm going to be writing guides for the Xbox update. I just got light mode on my Xbox, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I was gonna check that out. So follow Jez on Twitter. Check out his show he does with Robies on the mornings on Mixer. As for me, I'll be dropping daily content as I normally do. I should have another video coming up in about an hour or so. But yeah, thank you guys so much for rocking out with this. This has been like episode 22 of the Xbox 2. We will be back next week, hopefully. Nothing kind of stops us from doing the show for episode number 23. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see everybody next time. Later, guys.
Loves.